The signature on the DFAS envelope looked like mine. Almost. I opened the Defense Finance and Accounting Service envelope. It sat on my workbench beside the half-finished U.S. Enterprise. Beneficiary changed to Jennifer Drummond Phillips. Effective February 12th. The signature looked like mine. Almost. The pressure was wrong. The capital H in Hollister leaned too far left. The filing cabinet lock was intact. I pulled my original signature cards. Untouched. She'd copied them, but couldn't take the originals. I pulled 3 power of attorney documents from my filing cabinet. Same forged signature on each one. I photographed each document. Timestamp visible. Chain of custody established. The answering machine showed one message. Dad, you're not capable of handling this anymore. I'm protecting you. You'll understand eventually. I touched Eleanor's ring on its chain. The metal was warm from my body heat. I pulled out my documentation journal. First entry. Evidence of federal fraud. Quick favor? Hit subscribe. It's free and helps a ton. We met in 1975 at Travis Air Force Base. I was a second lieutenant in logistics. She worked ER at the base hospital. 6 months later, we were married at the chapel, her in a simple white dress, me in dress blues. She understood what military life demanded. Her father had been Navy. 24 years I served. Rose to lieutenant colonel. 3 commands. Hundreds of audits. 0 discrepancies. Managed supply chains for 3 different commands. Tracked every component, every requisition, every audit trail. You lose track of a missile guidance system, people die. You lose track of a wrench. You explain why taxpayers funded your incompetence. I applied the same discipline to our finances. Day 1. Eleanor worked extra shifts to accelerate our savings. 12-hour rotations in the ER, then home to cook dinner while I reviewed our budget spreadsheet. We lived in base housing when we could have afforded better, drove used Hondas, took 1 vacation a year, always camping. By the time we retired in 1999, we had $890,000 saved. I retired at 45. Eleanor left nursing at 43. We bought the Prescott Ranch for $185,000 cash. 2 acres, mountain views. Workshop space for the model ships I'd started building during my last deployment. The filing cabinet came with us from our final posting. 4-drawer steel unit, olive drab, keyed lock. I had rekeyed twice over the years. Eleanor called it excessive, but she never questioned the system. I documented every receipt, every statement, every tax return since 1976. Organized chronologically in labeled manila folders with handwritten inventory sheets documenting each drawer's contents. When the IRS audited us in 2003, I handed them 12 years of records in under 10 minutes. They apologized for wasting my time. Our Vanguard index funds and Fidelity CDs grew the portfolio to $1.2 million. Nothing aggressive. 3% annual withdrawal rate. My pension added $4,200 monthly. We lived on $6,800 total. The rest compounded. Eleanor paid the bills from her hospital desk on Fridays. I filed the receipts on Saturdays. Partnership. Jenny was born in 1981, grew up on 4 different bases. Hated every move. Why do we have to move again? She asked at 12, packing boxes for the 4th time. Blamed me for the deployments, the transfers, the military life she never chose. She earned her finance degree from Arizona State in 2003, got her CFP certification 2 years later. Built a practice in Scottsdale, cultivating wealthy clients who paid her to manage money they'd inherited, not earned. Married Todd Phillips at 28. Developer. Asked too many questions about my portfolio during family dinners, always with that salesman's grin. They bought a North Scottsdale house neither could afford. Leased matching BMWs. Joined a country club. No children, just image. At Thanksgiving 2019, she wore a Hermes scarf that cost more than our monthly grocery budget. Eleanor's hand found mine under the table. 3 short pulses. Our signal. Don't engage. The cancer diagnosis came in April 2022. Ovarian. Stage 3. 8 months of treatment. Chemo. Radiation. Surgery that bought us weeks, not years. I became full-time caregiver. Managed her medications. Tracked her symptoms. Documented every appointment in the same filing system that held our financial records. The hospice nurse smelled like lavender hand soap. She touched my shoulder when Eleanor's breathing changed. 2 in the morning. She said she'd never seen such thorough medical logs. Eleanor died January 14th, 2023. I was holding her hand. Her last words were about the garden, reminding me to water the roses in summer. The workshop became the only place my hands stopped shaking. Us Enterprise. Us Wasp. Us Hornet. 23 ships. 23 names. Each one named for a fallen airman I'd known. Each one requiring patience and precision and steady hands. Jenny started visiting weekly in February, a month after the funeral. Brought casseroles I didn't eat. Touched my arm with practiced sympathy. Wore a different Hermes scarf each time. Suggested I was confused about bills. Offered to help organize my finances. I let her talk. Documented every visit in a separate log. Dates. Times. Exact phrases. The house is worth $420,000 now. The workshop holds tools Eleanor bought me for Christmas over 20 years. The filing cabinet contains every choice we made together. Her hospital shifts. My deployment bonuses. Our decision to live below our means so we'd never be desperate. That's what Jenny's stealing. Not just money. The record of a partnership. 44 years of discipline and shared sacrifice. Eleanor's ring hung warm against my chest. The metal had absorbed my body heat over 2 months of wearing it. Every dollar in those accounts represents a choice. Eleanor's double shift on Christmas Eve 1987. My deployment bonus in 1992 that went straight to the Vanguard account. Both of us saying no to restaurant meals and yes to index funds. She trusted me to protect what we built. Told me so during hospice. Made me promise I'd watch for people who might take advantage, that I'd protect what we built. I pulled the DFAS notification from my document folder. The forged signature stared back at me. Capital H, leaning wrong. Pressure inconsistent. I wrote the date at the top of the journal page. March 15th, 2023. Then Eleanor's full name. Eleanor Marie Hollister. Born September 3rd, 1956. Died January 14th, 2023. Married June 12th, 1975. Below that, the inventory. $1,247,382 total assets. Vanguard accounts. Fidelity CDEs. The house. My pension. Every number documented in the filing cabinet she'd never seen inside. I closed the journal. Tomorrow, I'd start building the case. Tonight, I'd write down exactly what we'd built together. What she'd trusted me to protect. The kitchen clock ticked. Her coffee mug sat beside my elbow. The grocery list in her handwriting still hung on the refrigerator. I wasn't fighting for money. I was fighting for the record of a life we'd lived together. Every receipt, every statement, every choice. She'd trusted me to protect it. I wouldn't let her down. The last Friday in January, Jenny arrived with a casserole dish and a Hermes scarf I'd never seen before. Cream and gold. She set the dish on the counter and touched my arm. You look tired, Dad. Sleep came in 2-hour increments since Eleanor died. The bed felt wrong without her weight on the other side. I made chicken tetrazzini, your favorite. Eleanor's favorite. I nodded anyway. Have you been keeping up with the bills? She asked it casually, but her eyes tracked to the mail stack on the kitchen table. AutoPay handles most of it. Right, but you should still review the statements. Make sure everything's processing correctly. You seem a bit confused about some of the accounts. I wasn't confused. Every bill paid on the 3rd of the month via autopay. Every statement filed in the cabinet within 24 hours of arrival. I'm managing fine. She tilted her head. Of course you are. I just worry, you know? This is a lot to handle alone. Maybe I could help organize things. Just to make it easier. I have a system. I know you do. But grief affects memory, Dad. It's normal. Nothing to be ashamed of. She opened the refrigerator and rearranged Eleanor's Pyrex containers. The blue one went to the back, the yellow one forward. Eleanor's system rearranged. I said nothing. After she left, I found the bank statement on the table. Opened. The envelope seal broken clean. I checked the filing cabinet. Locked. Untouched. But the statement showed a transfer I didn't remember. $3,200 from savings to checking. February 3rd, 2 days ago. Balance. $47,821, not 15. I touched Eleanor's ring through my shirt. The metal was warm. I didn't authorize this, but proving it meant confronting her. Not yet. I filed the statement and went to the workshop. The second Friday in March, she wore a different scarf. Burgundy and navy. She brought printed articles about estate planning. I've been thinking about your portfolio structure. As a certified financial planner, I can tell you you're being too conservative with the CDEs. You could optimize returns with a different allocation strategy. The CDS were Eleanor's choice. 3% guaranteed. No risk, no surprises. I'm comfortable with the current approach. But are you maximizing growth potential? At your age, you need to think about legacy planning. What happens to these assets when you're gone? I set my coffee down, met her eyes across the table. They go to you, you know that, right? But the tax implications of the current structure could be problematic. We should discuss power of attorney arrangements. Just for emergencies. I don't need a power of attorney. Dad, everyone needs contingency planning. What if something happens and you can't make decisions? I'm trying to protect you. She touched my arm again. 3 beats. The same rhythm Eleanor used under the table at Thanksgiving. I have a bank appointment Tuesday morning. CD renewal with Susan. I'll come with you. Provide professional perspective. That's not necessary. Her smile didn't shift. I insist. What time? The Valley Trust branch smelled like coffee and paper. Low conversation hum, keyboard clicks. Susan Kowalski stood when we entered. She'd managed my accounts for 12 years. Knew Eleanor by name. Cameron, good to see you. And Jenny, hello. Susan, thanks for making time. I wanted to discuss Dad's renewal options. Susan looked at me. Cameron, which CD are we renewing today? I started to speak. Jenny leaned forward, cutting me off before I could answer. The Fidelity CD maturing next month. I've reviewed the terms, and I think we should explore higher yield alternatives. Susan's expression didn't change. Cameron, is that your preference? Renew at the current rate. Same terms. Jenny's hand found my forearm. Dad, we discussed this. You need to think long term. I pulled my arm back. I am thinking long term. Eleanor and I chose these investments together. I'm not changing them. Susan typed something. I'll process the renewal at current terms. Cameron, you'll need to sign here. I signed. My actual signature. Capital H, leaning right. Pressure consistent. Jenny drove me home in silence. Her hands gripped the steering wheel at 10 and 2. When we pulled into the driveway, she turned. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I got out without answering. That night, I found another statement in the mail. Already opened. $5,800 transfer from savings to checking. April 1st. Yesterday. The next morning, I called the bank. Susan, I'm seeing transfers I don't remember authorizing. Pause. Cameron, we have your signature on file for both transactions. The documents were submitted by Mrs. Phillips with proper authorization. I never signed authorization for Jenny to access my accounts. Another pause, longer. I'll pull the signature cards and review them. Can you come in tomorrow? I hung up and walked to the workshop. The U.S. Enterprise sat half-finished on the workbench. Deck plating needed sanding. 32 railings still to install. I pulled my notebook from under the bench instead, the one I used to log ship construction. I opened to a blank page. February 5th, Jenny visit. Casserole asked about bills. Statement opened. $3,200 transfer I don't remember. February 12th, Jenny visit. Estate planning articles. Insisted on bank appointment. February 16th, bank appointment with Susan. Jenny dominated conversation. Used CFP credentials to pressure different investment strategy. April 2nd. Statement opened. $5,800 transfer. Called bank. Told I signed authorization. No memory of signing. I closed the notebook. My hands were steady. The same hands that had tracked missile components for 2 decades. Marcus knocked on the workshop door Saturday morning. Brought coffee in a thermos. We sat on the porch facing Granite Mountain. Saw Jenny's car here Tuesday afternoon. She had a bank appointment with me. Marcus sipped his coffee. Funny. Ran into her at the grocery store Tuesday around 2. She said she was heading back to Scottsdale. Had client meetings all afternoon. I looked at him. Maybe she meant Wednesday. Maybe. We sat in silence. Marcus didn't push. Military guys knew when to leave space. But the discrepancy sat in my chest like a stone. That night, Jenny called. I let it go to voicemail. Dad, I've been thinking about the filing cabinet in your workshop. What's the combination? Just in case something happens and I need to access important documents. Call me back. I deleted the message. The filing cabinet combination hadn't changed in 15 years. Eleanor knew it, no one else. I pulled the notebook again. Added the date. Jenny's voicemail asking for cabinet access. Marcus seeing her car when she claimed to be in Scottsdale. The pattern was forming. 3 discrepancies, 2 timeline contradictions. 1 forged signature pattern, the same red flags I'd flagged in 20 years of logistics audits. She was my daughter. Eleanor's daughter. The girl we'd raised on 4 different bases. I closed the notebook. I touched the ring on its chain. The metal was warm from my body heat. 3 days after the last unauthorized transfer, certified mail arrived. I opened the Defense Finance and Accounting Service envelope on my workbench beside the half-finished US Enterprise. Maricopa County Superior Court. Official seal. 7 pages. All lies. Petition for appointment of guardian. In the matter of Cameron James Hollister, alleged incapacitated person. Petitioner, Jennifer Drummond Phillips. I read the first page twice. Set them on the workbench beside the U.S. Wasp's unfinished hull. Then read all 7 pages again. Jenny claimed I exhibited severe memory loss. That I couldn't manage my financial affairs. That I posed a danger to myself through poor judgment and confusion. The petition listed incidents. Each one false. March 8th. Failed to pay utility bills, resulting in service shutoff notice. I pulled my bank statements from the filing cabinet. Auto pay confirmations. Electric company paid March 1st. Water paid March 1st. Gas paid March 1st. No shutoff notice. No service interruption. April 15th. Gave $15,000 to phone scammer claiming to be IRS agent. I checked my transaction logs. No $15,000 withdrawal. No phone calls from anyone claiming IRS affiliation. Complete fabrication. May 2nd, found wandering neighborhood at 11 p.m., confused about location and unable to recall home address. I was in my workshop at 11 p.m. on May 2nd, building deck plating for the US Enterprise. Marcus stopped by at 10:30 p.m. to return my socket set. We talked for 20 minutes. He left at 10:50 p.m. I worked until midnight. The petition included exhibits, bank statements showing the unauthorized transfers, a letter from Dr. Robert Chen, geriatric psychiatrist, claiming I'd exhibited advanced cognitive decline during examination on April 22nd. I'd never seen Dr. Chen, never authorized any psychiatric evaluation. The signature on the authorization form looked like mine. Almost. Jenny requested appointment as guardian with full authority over my $1.2 million estate. Control of pension beneficiary designation. Medical decision-making power. Management fees listed, $8,000 monthly. The hearing was scheduled for June 18th, 3 weeks away. I set the petition on the workbench. My hands were steady. Wednesday morning, I drove to VFW Post 504-1 for coffee. Marcus and 4 other veterans met every Wednesday at 9. Same table, same styrofoam cups, same grocery store donuts. I brought the petition. Marcus knew lawyers. Military guys helped each other. Old coffee and pine sol. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead. Someone had burned popcorn in the microwave again. Unit patches covered the walls. Photographs of fallen members. How Mia flag in the corner. Marcus sat with Tom Hendricks, Bill Crawford, Pete Vasquez, and Jack Morrison. Vietnam era. Gulf War era. Ages 65 to 73. VFW caps. Flannel shirts. The usual Wednesday morning gathering. I poured coffee from the urn. Sat down. Started to pull the petition from my jacket. A Mercedes pulled into the parking lot. Black. New. Jenny's car. She walked through the door in a navy suit. Burgundy Hermes scarf. French manicure. Makeup applied with precision. She smiled at the room. Cameron, I'm so glad I caught you. She touched Tom's shoulder. Gentlemen, I'm sorry to interrupt your morning. Her voice carried across the room, louder than necessary. I've been so worried about Dad's mental state. She pulled papers from her leather portfolio. I know this is difficult, but I have a responsibility as his daughter, as a certified financial planner. Marcus stood. Jenny, this isn't the place. She tilted her head, sympathy expression. I appreciate your concern, Marcus. But when I see a senior making dangerous decisions, I have legal obligations as a CFP. She'd moved from quiet manipulation to public warfare. Desperate people made tactical errors. She walked to my table, set the guardianship petition in front of me, touched my shoulder. Even the court agrees you need supervision, Daddy, for your own safety. Pete shifted in his chair. Tom looked at his coffee. Bill exchanged glances with Jack. Jenny addressed the room. I know Dad's been telling you he's fine, but the documented incidents say otherwise. Unpaid bills. Money given to scammers. Wandering confused at night. She touched Marcus's arm. 3 beats. I'm doing this because I love him. Because Mom would want me to protect him from himself. Marcus pulled his arm back. Cameron's the sharpest guy I know. He helped me file my VA claim last month. Walked me through every form. She smiled. That's kind of you to say, but grief affects cognition in ways people don't recognize. Any financial advisor would tell you a 68-year-old widower showing signs of dementia shouldn't control assets. She turned to me. Her blue eyes held mine. Daddy, you're not capable anymore. You know that, right? I'm protecting you, just like I promised Mom. I touched Eleanor's ring through my shirt. The metal was warm from my body heat. I stood, spine straight, shoulders back. The posture came automatic after 40 years. Negative. My voice came out clipped, formal, the way I'd spoken to supply sergeants who tried to falsify inventory records. I did not authorize any doctor visits. I did not grant you power of attorney. This is a chain of custody issue. I picked up the petition, folded it precisely, put it in my jacket pocket. You'll receive my response through proper legal channels. I walked to the door. Measured pace. Not hurrying, not fleeing, tactical withdrawal. Behind me, Jenny's voice continued. This is exactly the kind of paranoid response that concerns me. You see what I'm dealing with? Marcus followed me outside. His jaw clenched. The vein in his temple pulsed. Cameron, that was complete horseshit in there. I know. You need a lawyer. Good one. He pulled a business card from his wallet. Rebecca Ka. Forensic accountant. My daughter used her when her ex tried hiding assets. She's expensive, but she's a killer. I took the card. Thanks. You okay? I looked back at the VFW hall. Through the window, Jenny was still talking, touching arms, tilting her head. The other veterans sat silent, uncertain, watching her perform. I'm fine. Marcus gripped my shoulder. We got your back, brother. All of us. Whatever you need. I drove home, parked in the driveway, sat in the truck for 5 minutes. Then I walked to the workshop, pulled my documentation journal, opened to a new page. May 20th, VFW Hall, 9:15 a.m. Jenny arrived uninvited. Announced guardianship petition to room of 8 veterans. Claimed court agrees I need supervision. Used CFP credentials to establish authority. Touched multiple arms during speech. Control tactic. Performed concern for witnesses. Her exact words, Daddy, you're not capable anymore. Any financial advisor would tell you a 68-year-old widower showing signs of dementia shouldn't control assets. I'm doing this because I love you. Witnesses, Marcus Webb, Tom Hendricks, Bill Crawford, Pete Vasquez, Jack Morrison, 3 others. My response maintained military bearing. Stated facts. Refused engagement. Left with dignity. I closed the journal. Set Rebecca Kao's card on the workbench beside it. Tomorrow I'd call her. Tonight, I'd document everything Jenny had tried to take. The filing cabinet sat against the wall, blocked, untouched, containing every receipt, every statement, every choice Eleanor and I had made together. 44 years of partnership, documented, protected, ready. I touched the ring on its chain. The metal was warm from my body heat. I called Rebecca Chao from my workshop. The card Marcus gave me had her office number and cell. I tried the cell first. She answered on the second ring. Rebecca Chao. My name is Cameron Hollister. Marcus Webb gave me your card. My daughter filed a guardianship petition claiming I'm incapacitated. A pause. Are you a veteran, Mr. Hollister? Air Force. 24 years. Lieutenant Colonel. What branch was your daughter? She wasn't. She's a financial advisor in Scottsdale. Certified financial planner. Another pause, longer. And she's claiming you can't manage your own finances? Yes. The petition lists incidents that never happened. Unpaid bills. Money given to scammers. Wandering confused at night. All fabricated. Do you have documentation? I have nearly 5 decades of financial records. Every receipt, every statement, every transaction, organized chronologically in a locked filing cabinet. The line went quiet. Then Rebecca's voice came back. 3 beats of silence. When she spoke again, her words came clipped, precise. I'd like to see that cabinet, Mr. Hollister. Are you available tomorrow afternoon? Yes. She arrived at 1400 hours in a gray Honda Accord. Navy pantsuit, pressed sharp. Salt and pepper haircut, military short. Rectangular glasses. She carried a leather briefcase in one hand, laptop case in the other. Marcus was already there, coffee in hand. The 3 of us stood in my workshop while Rebecca examined the filing cabinet. I opened the top drawer. Manila folders labeled by year and month. 1976 through 2023. Every bank statement. Every tax return. Every investment confirmation. She pulled a folder at random. March 1998. Flipped through the contents. Set it back. Pulled another. November 2004. Same process. She held each document under the workshop light. Magnifying glass from her briefcase. Mr. Hollister, I've worked with Pentagon controllers who weren't this thorough. It's a habit from supply chain audits. You lose track of a missile component, people die. She clicked her pen. Rhythmic, 3 beats. Tell me about your daughter's access to these accounts. I walked her through the timeline. Eleanor's death in January. Jenny's weekly visits starting in February. The opened bank statements. The unauthorized transfers. The forged power of attorney documents. The guardianship petition. Rebecca took notes on a legal pad. Her handwriting was precise. Block letters. Do you have copies of the forged documents? I pulled them from a separate folder. 3 power of attorney forms. The DFAS beneficiary change. All bearing signatures that looked like mine, but weren't. She examined each one. The capital H leans wrong. The pressure's inconsistent. These are forgeries. She did the same thing at the VFW hall yesterday. She set the documents on my workbench. Mr. Hollister, my father was a Marine. Gunnery sergeant. Served in Vietnam. After my mother died, a home health aide convinced him to sign over power of attorney. She stole $80,000 before we caught her. I'm sorry. She looked at the filing cabinet. At the folders organized with military precision. At Eleanor's coffee mug still sitting on the shelf. I can't help him anymore. But I can make damn sure your daughter faces consequences for what she's done. She opened her laptop. What's your budget for this analysis? I don't have a budget established yet. Good. Because I'm doing this pro bono. Military family thinks she can defraud her father while he's grieving? Not on my watch. Marcus refilled our coffee. Rebecca worked for 3 hours. She pulled every bank statement from February through May, photographed every page, cross-referenced every transaction against my documentation journal. At 1700 hours, she closed her laptop. 47 unauthorized transactions. Total value $127,340. Every single transfer occurred within 72 hours of a documented visit from your daughter. She clicked her pen. The amounts are calculated. $9,800, $9,200, $8,900, never exceeding $10,000. Why $10,000? Banks are required to report transactions over $10,000 to federal authorities. Your daughter knew that. She structured the theft to avoid automatic alerts. Rebecca pulled up a spreadsheet on her laptop, turned it toward me. These are the dates and amounts. See the pattern? February 5th, $3,200. February 12th, $5,800. March 8th, $9,200. Every transfer happens right after she visits you. I looked at the numbers, the precision, the calculation behind each amount. She's been planning this since Eleanor died. Earlier, look at this. Rebecca pulled up another document. Bank login records. IP addresses. Timestamps. I subpoenaed your account access logs from Vanguard and Fidelity. These IP addresses show logins from Scottsdale, your daughter's office and home. Devices that were never used for your legitimate banking. How did she get my passwords? Do you remember her helping you pay bills online? April visit. She offered to show me the bank's website features. She watched you type your passwords, recorded them, used them for unauthorized access. Rebecca opened a different program. Forensic Signature Analysis Software. I'm going to scan your genuine signatures from the filing cabinet, then compare them to the forged documents. The software measures pen pressure, stroke velocity, letter formation. It generates a probability score. She scanned my genuine signatures from the cabinet. The screen filled with overlaid images, red lines marking discrepancies. She ran comparisons for another hour. The results came back at 18 fifth hours. 98.7% probability of forgery. The capital H formation is wrong. The terminal stroke pressure is inconsistent. These signatures were created by a different hand. She printed the analysis report. 17 pages of technical data and comparison images. I also identified the notary stamps. 2 are legitimate notaries your daughter deceived with false identification. 1 is completely fabricated. I verified with the state licensing board. What about the bank security footage? Already requested. Valley Trust keeps 90 days of recordings. I'll have them by tomorrow. The footage arrived the next afternoon. Rebecca set up her laptop in my workshop. Marcus joined us again. 6 visits. February through June, each one documented. Rebecca played the recordings. Timestamps in the corner. Jenny walking into Valley Trust, carrying her leather portfolio. Wearing a different Hermes scarf each visit. February 9th, cream and gold scarf. She submitted the first power of attorney document. March 16th. Burgundy and navy scarf. She executed a wire transfer. April 23rd, emerald green scarf. She accessed my safe deposit box. Watch her body language here. Rebecca paused the footage. Jenny stood at the counter. Her shoulders were tight. She kept glancing toward the branch manager's office. Susan Kowalski makes her nervous. She knows Susan will ask questions. The last recording showed Jenny arguing with a teller. Her voice didn't carry on the silent footage, but her gestures were sharp. Pointing, insisting. They asked her to bring you in personally. She refused. Rebecca organized the evidence. Bank statements in one folder. Transaction logs in another. IP records cross-referenced with visit dates. Signature analysis printed and tabbed. One more thing. You need a psychiatric evaluation. Independent assessment proving you're cognitively competent. She gave me Dr. Priya Kapoor's card. Geriatric psychiatrist. Respected, thorough. Ooh, I called that evening, scheduled for the next morning. Dr. Kapoor's office was in Central Prescott. Comfortable chairs, neutral colors. She was 47, Indian American. Dark hair in a neat bun, professional blazer. The evaluation took 3 hours. Memory tests, executive function analysis, depression screening, cognitive assessments using standardized protocols. She asked me to recall a list of words, draw a clock showing specific time, count backward by 7s from 100, explain the similarities between objects. I answered every question, completed every task. No tremor in my fingers. At the end, Dr. Kapoor set down her clipboard. Mr. Hollister, your cognitive function is completely intact. Your memory is sharp. Your executive function is normal. You show appropriate grief response for a recent widower, but no signs of depression requiring intervention. Dr. Kapoor typed while I waited. 12 pages. Clinical precision. This guardianship petition is medically baseless. I'll testify to that if needed. I drove home with her report on the passenger seat. 12 pages proving what I already knew. What Eleanor would have known too. I walked to the workshop. Rebecca had left her case file on my workbench. 47 transactions. $127,340. 98.7% forgery probability. 6 bank visits. Complete cognitive competence. I touched Eleanor's ring through my shirt. The metal was warm from my body heat. My phone rang. Rebecca, we have everything we need. She's done. Good. 3 days later, I entered Maricopa County Superior Court at 0945 hours. Rebecca walked beside me, 2 briefcases in hand, her jaw set tight. Marcus and 4 other veterans fell in behind us. Parade formation. The family division courtroom was smaller than I expected. Beige walls. State seal behind the bench. Gallery seating for 30. The courtroom smelled like floor wax and old paper. Air conditioning hummed overhead. Jenny sat at the petitioner's table in a navy suit. Burgundy Hermes scarf. Todd beside her in an ill-fitting gray suit. He was sweating already. Judge Marion Westbrook entered at 1,000 hours. Steel gray hair pulled back military tight, black robe pressed sharp. Through her open chamber's door, I saw a photograph on the wall. WWII soldier in dress uniform. The bailiff called the hearing to order. Jenny's attorney stood first. A younger man in a suit that cost more than my truck. Soft hands. No calluses. Your Honor, my client seeks guardianship of her father Cameron Hollister due to documented cognitive decline and financial mismanagement. Ms. Phillips is a certified financial planner with the expertise to protect her father's assets. Judge Westbrook nodded. Miss Phillips, please take the stand. Jenny walked to the witness stand. Her heels clicked on the tile. She placed her hand on the Bible and swore to tell the truth. Her attorney began, Mrs. Phillips, please describe your concerns about your father's mental state. She tilted her head, the sympathy expression I'd seen at the VFW hall. Since my mother's death 8 months ago, Dad has exhibited severe memory loss. He seems confused about which accounts are active. He asks me the same questions repeatedly about his statements. As a certified financial planner, I recognize the signs of cognitive decline. Any financial professional would agree that a grieving 68-year-old widower shouldn't control over $1 million without supervision. She produced documents, bank statements showing the transfers she'd made herself, Dr. Chen's forged letter. I love my father, but he's not capable anymore. This guardianship is for his protection. Judge Westbrook took notes. Mr. Hollister, you may cross-examine. Rebecca stood. Mrs. Phillips, you claim your father seemed confused about which accounts were active. Yes? Rebecca handed the judge 3 documents. These are Mr. Hollister's documentation journal entries from February through May. Each entry lists specific account numbers, balances, and transaction dates. All accurate. All recorded within 24 hours of each statement's arrival. Jenny's smile didn't shift. He must have written those down while looking at the statements. You also claim he gave $15,000 to a phone scammer on April 15th. Rebecca produced bank statements. No $15,000 withdrawal appears in Mr. Hollister's accounts on that date or any date within 30 days. No wire transfers. No cashier's checks. This incident never occurred. Todd loosened his tie. Jenny touched his arm. Judge Westbrook leaned forward. Ms. Phillips, are you prepared to testify under oath that these incidents happened? Jenny's voice came out higher. My father's confusion makes it difficult to track exact dates, but the pattern of decline is clear. The judge made another note. Rebecca called me to the stand next. I walked to the witness box, spine straight, shoulders back. Eleanor's ring hung outside my shirt on its chain. Mr. Hollister, please describe your financial management system. I maintain complete documentation of all transactions since 1976. Every receipt, every statement, every investment confirmation, organized chronologically in a locked filing cabinet. When the IRS audited us in 2003, I provided 12 years of records in under 10 minutes. I pulled my documentation journal from my jacket, leather-bound. 3 months of entries. February 15th, 14:30 hours. Subject, Jennifer Drummond. Phillips, arrived residence. Stated purpose, deliver casserole. Actual behavior, opened mail stack, questioned bill payment system. Duration, 47 minutes. Departure, 15:07 hours. I read 3 more entries. Dates, times, exact phrases, military precision. Judge Westbrook took the journal, flipped through pages. Her expression didn't change, but she spent 5 minutes reading. This is the most thorough, contemporaneous documentation I've seen in 22 years on this bench. Jenny shifted in her seat. Rebecca called her next witness. Dr. Priya Kapoor took the stand. Professional blazer. Medical credentials visible on her lapel. Dr. Kapoor, please describe your evaluation of Mr. Hollister. I conducted a comprehensive psychiatric assessment on May 23rd. Memory testing, executive function analysis, depression screening, cognitive assessments using standardized protocols. She referenced her written report. Mr. Hollister scored in the 93rd percentile for his age group on memory tests. His executive function is normal. He shows appropriate grief response for an 8-month widower, but no clinical depression. His cognitive function is completely intact. She looked at Judge Westbrook. This guardianship petition is medically baseless. I would stake my professional reputation on that conclusion. Rebecca stood again. Your Honor, I'd like to call myself as an expert witness in forensic accounting. The judge nodded. Rebecca took the stand, clicked her pen 3 times. I analyzed Mr. Hollister's financial records dating back to 1999. I identified 47 unauthorized transactions totaling $127,340. Every single transfer occurred within 72 hours of a documented visit from Mrs. Phillips to her father's home. She pulled up a spreadsheet on the courtroom monitor. 47 rows, February through June. The total at the bottom, $127,340. The amounts are calculated to avoid federal reporting requirements. 9,800, 9,200, 8,900, never exceeding $10,000. This is structured financial theft. Jenny's attorney objected. Speculation, Your Honor. Rebecca continued. I subpoenaed IP address logs from Vanguard and Fidelity. These show access to Mr. Hollister's accounts from devices in Scottsdale, Ms. Phillips's office and home. Devices never used for his legitimate banking. She played the bank security footage on the monitor. 6 visits. February through June. February 9th, cream and gold scarf. March 16th, burgundy and navy. April 23rd, emerald green. 6 visits. 6 scarves. Each one worth more than the transfer she was making. The timestamps matched my journal entries exactly. Todd's hand went to his collar. Hold. The tie came loose. His face was the color of raw hamburger. I also conducted forensic signature analysis. Rebecca displayed the comparison images. Red lines marking discrepancies. 98.7% probability of forgery. The capital H formation is inconsistent. The terminal stroke pressure varies. These signatures were created by a different hand. Marcus testified next. He pulled out his own log. Dates when Jenny's car was at my house while she claimed to be in Scottsdale. Mr. Webb, did you observe Mr. Hollister's behavior during this period? Every Wednesday morning at the VFW, sharp as ever. Helped me file my VA claim last month. Walked me through every form. No confusion, no memory problems. Then Tom Hendricks, Bill Crawford, Pete Vasquez, Jack Morrison, 5 veterans describing my consistent competence, Jenny's isolation tactics, her contradictory claims about whereabouts. Judge Westbrook's jaw tightened. She looked at Jenny. Miss Phillips, can you explain the IP address evidence showing access to your father's accounts from your office? Jenny's voice came out fast. Dad gave me his passwords. He asked me to help manage his accounts. The judge held up my documentation journal. There's no entry here documenting that permission. In fact, Mr. Hollister's entries specifically state he never granted you access. She turned to Rebecca. Ms. K, in your professional opinion, does this case show evidence of elder financial abuse? Yes, Your Honor. Systematic exploitation using forged documents and unauthorized account access. Judge Westbrook set down her pen. Miss Phillips, you hold a certified financial planner license? Yes. Are you aware that the CFP Board's ethics code prohibits exploiting family members and requires fiduciary duty in all financial matters? Jenny didn't answer. This petition is denied with prejudice. Mr. Hollister retains full control of his person and estate. The judge's voice went cold. Furthermore, I'm referring this matter to the Maricopa County prosecutor for investigation of elder financial abuse, forgery, and wire fraud. I'm also filing a formal complaint with the CFP board regarding your professional conduct. Jenny stood. Your Honor, I'm a certified financial planner. I have a fiduciary duty to. You have a duty not to forge signatures and steal from your clients, Mrs. Phillips, especially when that client is your own father. I touched Eleanor's ring through my shirt. The metal was warm from my body heat. The gavel came down. The gavel's echo hadn't faded before Rebecca was on her phone. I sat in the gallery while she paced the courthouse hallway, her voice clipped and professional through the open door. 40 minutes later, she returned to the courtroom where I waited with Marcus. The prosecutor's office called back. They're filing charges tomorrow. Elder financial abuse, forgery, wire fraud. The DFAS fraud triggers federal jurisdiction. How many counts? 47. One for each transaction. Jenny and Todd left through a side exit. I watched them through the courthouse window. She walked 3 steps ahead of him. Her shoulders were rigid. Todd reached for her elbow. She jerked away. He tried again at the car. She yanked the door open before his hand made contact. The prosecutor filed charges on June 23rd. I received a copy of the criminal complaint from Rebecca that afternoon. 47 counts. Elder financial abuse, forgery, wire fraud. The federal charges were pending review. The judge set bail at $50,000. Todd posted it 2 days later. Rebecca found the court records. He'd liquidated a CD and cashed out what remained of their joint savings. Total $53,400, leaving them with $3,400 in liquid assets. The bail bondsman took his 10%. Todd walked out with nothing. She didn't know about the gambling debts. Rebecca's voice came through my phone speaker while I worked on the Yes Hornets deck plating. He's been hiding the full scope. $425,000 total. $340,000 to legitimate creditors. $85,000 to less legitimate ones. The CFP board's investigation letter arrived at Jenny's office on June 27th. Rebecca called her contacts in financial services. The CFP board's investigation was immediate when criminal charges were filed. License suspension pending investigation. Public disciplinary notice posted to the searchable database that afternoon. I searched the CFP board database. Her name appeared at the top. License status, suspended. Reason, criminal charges pending. Elder financial abuse, forgery, wire fraud. Investigation ongoing. Her first client pulled their accounts on June 29th. A couple in their 70s. 40 years of savings. They'd seen the news coverage. Local stations had picked up the story. Financial advisor defrauds veteran father. The second client left on July 1st. Then 3 more that week. Then 8 the following week. By July 15th, all 23 remaining clients had moved their accounts. Rebecca tracked the exodus through public records and financial industry contacts. Some went to competitors. Some went to Vanguard and managed their own portfolios. 2 filed formal complaints with the CFP board about aggressive sales tactics they previously tolerated. The office lease was $4,800 monthly, due on the 1st. Jenny made July's payment. Missed August's. Her receptionist quit on July 18th. Gave 1 week notice. Found employment with a competitor who wasn't facing criminal charges. The for-lease sign went up on August 2nd. I drove past the building once. The glass walls showed empty space. The furniture had been liquidated. The CFP certificate no longer hung on the wall. Todd filed for bankruptcy on July 23rd. Chapter 7. Personal and Business Assets. The court documents listed the Mesa Strip Mall disaster in detail. $890,000 invested. Anchor tenant withdrawal. Construction halted. Monthly carrying costs of $7,200 bleeding him for 18 months. The bankruptcy filing included a section on marital status. Divorce pending. He'd moved out 3 days earlier. Rebecca's investigator confirmed the address. A casino host's apartment in Tempe. Woman named Simone. Todd had been seeing her for 14 months. The divorce petition arrived at Jenny's attorney on July 27th. Todd's filing cited irreconcilable differences. Requested division of debts. Listed the North Scottsdale house as marital property subject to foreclosure. He also provided a sworn statement to the prosecutor. Detailed his pressure on Jenny to access my money. Described conversations where he'd told her my pension and savings could cover his strip mall losses. Admitted he'd researched guardianship law and showed her the statutes. The country club revoked their membership on August 5th. No formal notice. Their key cards stopped working. Jenny found out when she tried to use the tennis courts. The Scottsdale social circle distanced faster than the clients had. Former friends stopped returning calls. Group chat invitations disappeared. Someone screenshotted Jenny's mugshot from the county booking system and circulated it through private channels. The local news coverage went viral on August 9th. Phoenix television stations picked up the story. Then Arizona Republic ran a feature. Financial advisor with professional credentials exploits grieving veteran father. The comment sections filled with outrage. Jenny's carefully curated Instagram went dark on August 12th. The last post showed a sunset over Camelback Mountain with a quote about resilience. The comments were disabled. The restitution hearing was scheduled for August 16th. I attended with Rebecca. Jenny sat at the defendant's table with her attorney. Todd wasn't present. She'd lost weight. The navy suit hung loose on her frame. No Hermes scarf. Her makeup was applied, but the foundation didn't quite match her skin tone. Dark circles showed through. Her hands shook when she reached for the water glass. The judge ordered full restitution. $127,340, plus $43,200 in penalties and interest. Total, $170,540. Liens were placed on Jenny's remaining assets: the North Scottsdale house, her car, her retirement accounts. The judge gave her 90 days to begin payment or face criminal penalties. My bank accounts were secured with new protocols, signature verification requirements, in-person authorization for any changes, beneficiary designations locked with DFAS requiring notarized documents, and 2 forms of identification. The pension beneficiary was restored to my control on August 20th. Rebecca called on August 23rd. The CFP board voted this morning. Permanent license revocation. The decision will be posted to the public database tomorrow. I set down my phone and returned to the workbench. The U.S. enterprise was nearly complete. 32 railings installed. Deck plating sanded smooth. Hull painted and dried. I touched Eleanor's ring through my shirt. The metal was warm from my body heat. The restitution check arrived on August 28th. Certified mail. $170,540. I deposited it the same afternoon. Filed the receipt in the cabinet that evening. Marcus stopped by with coffee the next morning. We sat on the porch facing Granite Mountain. Heard the CFP board made it permanent. Rebecca called yesterday. Good. We drank our coffee in silence. A hawk circled overhead. The morning air smelled like pine and dust. Coffee steam rose between us. Your daughter made her choices. Now she's living with them. I nodded. Eleanor would be proud of how you handled this. I touched the ring on its chain. The metal caught the morning sun. She taught me that love means responsibility. I honored that. Marcus refilled our cups from the thermos. We sat until the sun cleared the mountain. If you felt that, smash like and share your thoughts below. The U.S. Enterprise sat completed on my workbench. 24th ship. February 14, 2024. 8 months since Judge Westbrook's gavel came down. The brass nameplate read Eleanor's legacy in letters I'd etched myself. The The rigging was perfect. 327 individual lines, one for each month we'd been married. 44 years of rigging. I documented the construction in my journal. Same precision I'd used for the financial records. Date started, materials used, hours invested. Completion date, February 14th. 1 year since she died. I'd deposited the restitution check on August 28th. $170,540. Filed the receipt the same day. My accounts had new protocols now. Signature verification. In-person authorization for changes. DFAS, beneficiary, locked with notarized documents and 2 forms of identification. Marcus knocked on the workshop door, brought coffee like he did every Saturday. We sat on the porch facing Granite Mountain. Heard Jenny signed the plea agreement. 18 months federal. 5 years supervised release. He nodded. CFP board made the revocation permanent last week. The coffee was hot. The air smelled like pine. A hawk circled overhead. She's lined up a retail job for when she gets out. Rebecca's investigator confirmed it. Divorced. Todd filed bankruptcy. She'll be living in a 1-bedroom apartment in Tempe when she's released. No Hermes scarves, no country club, no clients. Marcus refilled our cups. And you? I touched Eleanor's ring. I wore it outside my shirt now. The metal caught the light. I visit her grave every Wednesday. Tell her I kept my promise. Protected what we built. We sat until the sun cleared the mountain. That afternoon, I placed Eleanor's legacy on the shelf beside the other 23 ships. Each one named for someone I'd lost. This one named for someone I'd protected. The filing cabinet sat against the wall. Locked. I hadn't opened it in 3 weeks. Didn't need to anymore. The documentation journal beside it. Mission complete. My hands didn't shake when I picked up the drill. The model ship's hull sat steady under my fingers. No tremor, no hesitation. 44 years we built this together. Every dollar, every choice. When someone tries to take what you've earned through sacrifice, documentation isn't paranoia, it's protection. Eleanor taught me that love means responsibility. I honored that until the end. I touched the ring on its chain. The metal was warm from my body heat. Then I returned to the workbench. The US Hornet needed deck plating. I pulled my documentation journal toward me, opened to a fresh page. February 14th, 2024. US Hornet construction log. Day 37, 23 railings left to install. I had all afternoon,